I
Yeah.
had a college reunion a couple years ago, 30-year college reunion, and everybody was meeting at this one bar, and me and a couple of my buddies came in, and the first thing I said as loud as I could so everybody could hear, "You guys got old."
Why wait to 40 years to go, you know what? I'm going to push record on my own stuff.
This is Mark Miller, and you are tuned into the ZHZ podcast.
So today's guest is a songwriter and independent artist, Mark Miller from St. Louis, Missouri. After writing songs in his bedroom since the 1980s, Mark decided in his mid-50s to release his music. His indie, folk, art, country, and power pop blend is backed by decades of experience. His story is one of persistence, humility, and proving that it's never too late to pursue your music.
And with that, let's welcome Mark to the show. Mark, welcome in, my friend.
Hey, nice to be here. You just told my whole story, so I'll see you later.
All right. Thanks for joining us
appreciate it,
next week on the ZHZ podcast.
I always ask, like, how'd I do? Did I do all right? That was good?
You did fine.
Yeah.
You did.
Feeling lost? Have you tried Krishna?
So right before we started here, we were kind of just talking about how you heard about us, Mark. How did you find about us? Because it's kind of been a phenomenon lately.
This is going to be a little weird. And you actually, a guest you had a couple weeks ago, I think did the same thing. I was looking for ways to promote my music, right? And I just asked ChatGPT because that's my only friend. Sometimes.
Really? Yeah.
And
it's my. Believe me, I know. Yeah.
You were the top of my list. You guys were
really?
the top of the list.
Yes.
ChatGPT
Thank you,
picked us.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. So
That says something.
Contacted you, and surprisingly enough, you guys got back to me, I think the same day. Which
Yeah, usually it just depends. I mean, we all have regular day jobs, and my job, I cannot have any tech in the building. I work in a classified vault. It's like a giant cement Death Star, really. But every now and then I get to sneak out, and I can check my phone, and I seen it there, and I was like, oh crap.
My day job is at night and weekends.
Nice.
Well, we'll get to this, how I can't really play out live because my work schedule, I've been working every weekend evening for the past 30, 40 years.
Wow.
So
What do you do to pay the bills?
I am in television.
All right.
Okay.
I'm a technical director at a television station. So I'm directing
Sweet.
the news. I direct podcasts. I do the day-to-day housework that needs to be done to keep a station on the air. I do.
You're like a program director?
No, I am a technical director. There's several of us.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Imagine back in the old days where you hear somebody say, stand by, camera 2, take 2.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I'm the guy
okay.
pressing the button.
I got you. You run the
Now,
boards.
It's a lot. Well, there's hardly any boards anymore. It's a lot different than
Right.
it used to be. But I've
I
been in
got you.
TV for so long. I remember.
Well, you know
those
what's
The
really
boards?
cool is that
Oh, yeah.
my high school back in the late 60s, early 70s, a Salt Lake City school district invested a bunch of money into their city high schools, into vocational programs. And one school got this kick-ass auto shop. One got a metal shop. One got a really amazing wood shop. And my high school got a television studio. And so we would get all of the hand-me-down gear from the TV studios as they would upgrade. And so I got to learn everything from the back end. We had a fully functioning television studio with the full-on control boards. I got to learn, video editing, audio editing, live TV production, and then got to be on I was an intern for the first couple of years when they opened the Delta Center. I got to be on the Jumbotron production crew, actually working with the pros and learning how to run the cameras and everything, and pulling cable, under the basket at jazz games. And it was a blast, man. And several of my friends ended up, going into it as a career. A buddy of mine I think he still is a director or producer for ESPN on the road.
Yeah.
Doing shows and doing TV. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah. I mean, I've always worked in local stations. I started out in radio. Funny story about when I was in college, I went to Quincy College in Quincy, Illinois. That's where Harris and Broadcast Electronics are, big suppliers of television and radio equipment. Well, we had the best equipment at the college radio station, even for a little tiny Catholic college that we were. We had an incredible radio station.
Yeah.
And then I get working in commercial radio, and I mean, the board would catch on fire on a daily basis. This stuff was so old. I mean, it was built in the Eisenhower administration.
When they say, I've got a blowtorch, they mean it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no kidding.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So you've been obviously in production and TV media production, I guess, since for decades now, I imagine.
Yeah.
Why wait to 40 years to go? You know what? I'm gonna push record on my own stuff.
Well, the technology's here now, and it's been here for a while. But years ago, I mean, to get something recorded, it took a lot of work. I would remember going to the production studio at the radio station, recording one track on a reel, and then playing that reel back, and then recording on the next, another reel. So I would have multi-tracking, and then I got a 4-track, and even that was a little tricky to work with, especially if you're sloppy as I am, right? So the
that's what I started on, was a 4-track.
Yeah,
that's where we
Fostex
started.
4-track.
Yeah, mine was a Yamaha, but it was like, but what was Tascam was the other one that was like,
Tascam
everyone
was
had
the
the Tascam.
Yeah, Tascam, I think, was the top of the line.
Yeah.
And then there was Yamaha probably, and Fostex was the
they're probably the same. I still have it, by the way. I still have it.
I just got rid of mine.
Did you? I pulled it out and I thought, oh man, nostalgic. And I started playing some of my old 4-tracked compositions, and it sounded awful. So I'm like, no wonder nobody does this anymore. But
you know what? I have somewhere, and I just came across it not too long ago, a recording of me in high school playing into a boombox of some song I wrote. And it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing as all get out.
Yeah, but I love them though.
But
you
got
the
seat
is there.
Yeah,
yeah, the seat
exactly.
Is there.
Yep. That and it's like, it's just waxing nostalgia from where you were. From the beginning of that dream and to where you are now, and so obviously now you've got, I guess I'm assuming it's like the bedroom producer setup.
I use Logic.
Yep.
And I was getting into the DAWs pretty early when I first got my first real computer, which was iMac 233. And
nice.
I mean, that thing seemed like it was lightning fast at the time, but it was, it was a clunker. But I got Cakewalk. Remember Cakewalk?
Yes. That was my first DAW.
Yeah. And I was fooling around with Cakewalk, and I thought I was going to write jingles because I was producing commercials at the time. I thought I'd write some jingles, and I did a couple of them, but that never panned out. And that's why I got Cakewalk. But, I was fooling around with DAWs for a while. So it's not new to me. And the technology is pretty much the same as nonlinear video editing. It's all, it's all the same.
Right. It's not like Ableton or some of those other DAWs where it's definitely kind of a different, even though Logic does have similar, like they'll do blocks and cells. I just don't get into that. I'm linear like you. I'm like, I want to see the waveforms, but
well, there is an option. Yeah. I used Mixcraft for a while.
And you're so funny, dude. You sound just like me. Like, I swear I'm looking in the mirror. Yeah. I just switched over to Logic a year ago. And I had been with Mixcraft for probably 7-8 years now.
Mixcraft had a great community. They would answer all your questions.
And it was such a powerful DAW for how cheap it was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it was only PC. I couldn't get it on the Mac. So I didn't have Mac money at the time either, and then finally, I started off with an iPhone, and then I got a watch, and then I got a tablet, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go.
Now he's rolling with that Mac money, baby.
Yeah, I got full ecosystem. You know what's funny? I can afford this shit now. I have no time to play with it anymore, though. So
yeah, that happens. When GarageBand came out for the phone, I was all in on that. As a matter of fact, one of my songs, and I totally forgot I recorded this. I dug it up. I realized I had a SoundCloud account from, 10, 15 years ago. And I found this song that I wrote, and I'm like, this is really good, but who's playing piano on it? Because I don't play piano.
Right.
And it turns out it was GarageBand.
A sample. Yeah.
And it was so good. I put it on the first track I released was that
That's
song.
awesome. I have musician friends that still write and use GarageBand.
It's a nice scratch pad. It really is.
Well, yeah, and it's the little brother to Logic. It's the same tech.
Sure.
It's just so it works out really well. And it usually comes out pretty good, but.
Yeah, I've used GarageBand on the Mac too for a long time before I moved up to Logic, because I wanted to, kind of push it a little bit. I had a friend who was a great songwriter, and he did some recordings, and I wanted to add myself to it so I could, get the stems and take them apart and maybe change his guitar part a little bit. So I did that for About that was last year's project. I took a lot of his stuff and added myself in it, playing bass, playing, whatever.
Different instruments. So you're multi-instrumentalist then too? You play a bunch of stuff?
I play everything. I don't play anything well, but I play a lot of
play
things.
well enough to make the song.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, if it's as long as it's 1/4/5 and cowboy chords, I am.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll learn something long enough to record it, and then I forget about it.
Yeah,
so
that is a little bit of a stumbling block if I want to maybe stream my stuff, like play live in my garage and do a live stream,
right?
As opposed to doing a show, because I don't remember any of these songs.
I know.
I wrote them and I forgot about them.
Yeah, and that's I know the feeling. I know that. Well, and then if you're playing 3 different parts in the song, you're like, well, which one do I play live? you know, like
I mean, it's like I'm not good enough to really play that guitar solo.
Yeah, I guess you could fake. Yeah, I guess you could fake it. You know,
everything becomes harmonica.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we do that. With the band Zak and I play, and we were a studio project for a long time. So it was learn the song, track the song, move on to the next song. And now we've kind of phased into putting together a live lineup for the band and a dedicated set of members instead of floating kind of guest musicians on every track. And so I play the trumpet and I do backup vocals. And for years when we were in a working live band, we would always write the songs with that in mind. So there was horn lines and then there was vocal lines. And then when we were a purely studio band, the shackles came off, man, and we could do everything. I'd layer horn parts. We'd have songs where Zak and I are singing like it's a 4-part harmony between the two of us and doing all of this crazy stuff. And now we're trying to evolve those tunes into something that we can do live and we're actually playing. We're a 7-piece band, but we play the backing tracks so that we can have, because there's sometimes where there's a main horn riff with a layered horn riff behind it, and we don't want to lose that aspect of the song. So we have certain horn tracks that are still playing behind us while the horn section is playing, or horn lines that are playing while I'm doing a vocal harmony, or a vocal harmony that's playing on the backing track while I'm playing a horn line.
I'm not against backing tracks, and I've tried it a few times, but if it's just me, it's blatantly a backing track,
right?
When it's a whole band, maybe you don't notice it as much. But one guy
I guess,
and suddenly you hear a violin, and you don't see a violin,
right?
It's like, oh,
I could tell you this, like, how you say I don't play live, and the reason why is because I'm always working. Do you work nights at weekend? Do you weekend nights? You work weekend
nights, yeah.
Okay, so what about this idea? You play like coffee shops during the day, right? With your guitar. I mean, you're going to have the guitar, but you can use backing tracks to back you up. Nobody's going to give a shit, Mark. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's true.
It used to be that way. It used to be like, oh, those guys are fake. Like, that's the old Gen X attitude. But I'm telling you, nobody cares anymore. Like, they don't even know that it's like half the time they're listening to music that's not even human. It's all AI generated. And so it's like the dynamics of it has changed so much.
We had a guy on the show a while last year. A guy named Tom. He plays his stage name is Blackgrass, and he is a one-man show, and he lives his life. It's him and his wife in their RV, and booking shows weeks ahead on the road and living on the road playing, and it's just him, but it's all him. He records all of his backing tracks, and then he plays
guitar and a sing. That's it.
It's a guitar and a mic and a full band, and and the dude now is making a living on the road playing his music, and it's just it was really cool to dig into that, because it's like it has really kind of shifted.
I fooled around with backing tracks and stuff, especially with my dad band. I do have a dad band that we play.
Yeah, I seen a little bit of the videos of those. Yeah, I saw a few videos of you guys jamming, and that's awesome.
Yeah, we have fun. I mean,
Dad groove rules, man.
Well, what I saw was like, I don't know if it was COVID stuff, because it was like
that was the COVID stuff. Yeah, the box.
Yeah. It's the typical 4-box. The band's playing together, but they're not in the same room.
No.
But yeah.
We weren't even playing at the same time. I would record something, I'd send it to the drummer, that he would record something, he'd send it to the bass player. Well, at the time,
and
I'm the
and then you
bass player,
sync
but
it all up as if you're all one bed, and we do this. That's what we
set up a video editor. So
right, exactly. So we did that too. That's what Z Frequency has been since from 2024 through 2025 was that very thing. You know, although it wasn't like video recording of it, but it was. I'd send out the demo drum stems to our drummer. And he had his own studio, track the drums, send them back. And then, the bass would come over here, the guitar, and then I'd put it all together. And Matt and some of the other horn guys would actually come to this studio here to do tracks on those live. But everything else was always just kind of separated 7 different ways. So,
a recurring special guest on the show has been our friend that we lovingly refer to as Pencil Dick. And as a TV guy, I think you may appreciate this. Is Pencil Dick around there handy, Zach, that you can show? And
you want to see Pencil Dick, Mark?
This is the mic that we track.
This is not the podcast you imagine. I promise. Okay, no, it's a microphone.
You guys are from Utah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, I have a pass. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona this week, so maybe some of that weird Arizona desert, whatever, is rubbing off. I'm hoping to see a haboob while I'm here, just because the name is so cool.
That is a fun name.
But I don't know if a wall of dirt and sand blowing in is necessarily a fun thing.
It's a fun name, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the name Haboob.
Haboob.
Yeah. So this is the most show and tell thing I think I've ever had in my life, and I'm 51 years old now. But it's made by Shure. And I can't remember the name of the brand, but this is the cover that I got. I got it from a coworker who his girlfriend would purchase like storage unit, like Storage Wars. You heard like she would just and then just like on a whim and then open them up and then see what she could sell. Well, he's like, I got this microphone. I looked it up. It's worth about $200-300, but I'll never get that for it. And I had no idea what it was at all. And I said, well, and then he was hard up. They were kind of hard up for money. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $100, but that's all I'm going to give you. And he's like, I'll be right back. So he went at lunch. He came back and and this is it right here. I don't know if you can see it. And it's got a like a low filter, high filter switch, I think. And it's a 1/4-inch jack. It was built in the 60s. It's made by Shure, and it was their old. It's a Omni Dync. It's a dynamic microphone.
Yeah.
Shure model 57. Oh my gosh, I can't see. It's so funny. It's a I'm sure 578. 578. But this is what this was the field recorders that would have the reel-to-reel tape back in the day, and they'd be like, "What do you think, sir?" And it reminded me like The Price is Right. He has like Bob Barker had that.
It's got some Bob Barker, Gene Raven.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I tell you what, the sound is really warm and it works great for tracking horns. And so it is now our dedicated horn mic. Although our trombone player just purchased a wireless mic setup, and he did a little demo, and that one sounds actually
sounded really nice, man.
So
anyway, you guys familiar with The Urge? I know you guys are a ska band.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with The Urge?
Yeah, I think so.
They had a hit in the 90s, Jump Right In. They're from St. Louis.
I remember.
If I heard, yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
the song sounds familiar.
The guitarist lives 2 doors down from me.
Really? Cool. You guys are neighbors?
Yeah.
You're like a little neighbor? Yeah.
Right on, man.
That's awesome. So this is what I love about your sound, Mark, is that it brought me back to a certain artist, and I'm sure you get it all the time, but it felt good to me, and it felt nostalgic, right? So we're kind of middle-aged men here, but your sound reminded me so much of Elvis Costello, and I freaking love that
constantly.
And that, what's funny is that
it's the glasses.
No,
it's Elvis Costello.
Yeah. Okay, good. Cause I'm like, you sound like him too. Like you have just that kind of like, it wasn't like you're mimicking him. I'm not going to put it that way, but that's the kind of, yeah. But you gave the vibe that like, and man, I miss that
for
stuff.
For years I've been, and I don't hear it. Now he's a big influence on me. Nick Lowe is also a big influence on me.
Okay. Yeah.
And Marshall Crenshaw, and when I was in high school, or maybe even in grade school, for some reason, the artists that spoke to me the most were the ones who wore glasses, because I wore glasses.
Yeah.
So Buddy
it
Holly,
must be
Marshall
smart.
Crenshaw,
Yeah.
Elvis
That's
Costello.
So
These guys with glasses.
Roy Orbison.
Well, not so much Roy Orbison, but a lot of guys with glasses.
Too far. Yeah.
There's a line, and that was it.
Yeah. It's like, leave it to me to find it, you know? So, yeah.
I get Elvis Costello all the time. My 17-year-old kid, who really has no interest in my kind of music, said, "You sound like Elvis Costello." And I'm like, how do you even know who Elvis Costello is?
You're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's awesome, actually. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. You've got a new release called, what was it called?
The Girl Who Said No.
Says No.
The Girl Who Says No.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of what you're promoting right now. Am I right? Is that the song, or you got a new one?
I'm not really promoting anything. I just post and pray.
Well, we are now.
Dude, that's what we are. We post and pray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's my latest one. I actually have one coming out tomorrow. I usually...
Cool.
I put them out the 1st and the 15th because I have so much that I'm just getting it out now because my ADHD brain will eventually get tired of this.
Right.
And then I will move on to some other weird hobby.
Oh, you will. You'll get burned out on it. And then you come back around.
Yeah.
You know,
but
that's me.
We'll release the stuff now.
Well, while you're having fun. I mean, that's really comes down to if you're enjoying it, then keep doing it, you know. But promoting, I think a lot of artists, especially like, let's say, you know, someone like ourselves or you that haven't put out really anything, and all of a sudden, you know, you're in your 40s, 50s, and you're like, I'm going to start doing music. We just had a guest named Todd Anthony just before you, and he, same situation. You know, he played in bands, he played, you know, guitar for bands, and then he just decided, you know what, I want to write music for myself. Like, I have never written my own stuff. So he's starting over from scratch. And, you know, I love that, you know, you reached out to us as a means for promoting, because you will get some new faces, you know, you will get some people. How many?
Welcome,
like 10,
everybody.
It might be only tens of people, but you'll get them, you know? Yeah. So
at least 2 of our tens of subscribers will probably listen at some point.
Yeah. Well, I just looked this morning, and we're at 242 subscribers on YouTube. So we're growing, you know. It was like a year ago we were at 50. So
you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. We all started.
And that's
zeros,
I like the spirit of you guys, because it's a lot like me, just saying what the heck and going out and doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
There's no need to try to pretend like you're bigger than you are. You're better than you think you are. Like, just be yourself, man. And you know what? I think, I'm just some clown who writes songs and who's been writing songs forever. Go with it. You know what I mean? Like our band right now, like I feel like our angle really is the dad band, right? It's like our fan base is between 35 and 55, you know, and that's like our main demographic. So like, embrace it. Don't try to be like, you know, the 20-year-old rock band. Be the 50-year-old guys that are still, you know,
it's basically
they're taking the ibuprofen on their way up the stage, you know. So
it is basically the same cats that were our fan base when we were doing this as, you know, as a really, you know, nearly full-time, you know, working band back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They've, you know, it's the same crowd. They're just our age. So
yeah, exactly. You know, we have a lot of fan base from our old band back in the late 90s, early 2000s. We were in a ska band. And a lot of our fan base that comes out to our shows now, to Z Frequency, are fans from that era. You know,
so like we've gone from minor in possession to, you know, blood pressure medication.
That is so true, man. And a
big
cool gap in between where there was like a void, you know, nothing going on. But
yeah, I'm not going to try to pretend I'm something I'm not. You know, I am a small time, you know, 56-year-old guy who's writing songs, playing guitar, who likes to tinker with stuff, and that's kind of what got me into it. You know,
and it's authentic.
So that's what this is about. Yeah.
Well,
and
you'd
all
be
you can be.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many of us are just like that. You know what I mean? So
I'm sure.
they relate. They can relate. Like, they may not play the guitar, you know, they might be fiddling around with something else, but they can relate. And there's just a certain vibe with our age where, you know, like when I was young, like say my 20s or whatever, and I'd look at somebody in their 50s, I would think like I couldn't, like, they lived in a different world, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't relate, I couldn't understand it, you know, and like they were really into like old people stuff. And you know, now that we're like that age, I don't really feel terribly different from the 20s, other than now we talk about our health, you know, like, oh, we got to get our prostate checked, you know, and you know, but it's like the the music scene and everything. But like Matt said, it's all about authenticity. Like the more original, just be you. People will appreciate you for you. Doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't, your personality shines these days. And I don't think anyone cares. And even if you look at, let's say there's that girl in the yearbook that you just had a crush on back in high school and you seen her at the grocery store today, you're like, yeah, she doesn't look that pretty anymore, So it's like, we're all that way, so it's like,
but neither do we. So that's
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We all look old and ugly now. So
I had a college reunion a couple years ago, a 30-year college reunion, and everybody was meeting at this one bar, and me and a couple of my buddies came in, and the first thing I said as loud as I could so everybody could hear, "You guys got old."
Yep. And they all probably laughed. Said, "Yeah, we did."
Yeah, a couple of people threw stuff.
See, and if it was me, I would have walked in and just said, "You guys are still alive."
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
it is so weird being the same age as old people.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
No kidding.
Exactly.
So, you've been writing music for years and years and years and years, and you're just now releasing it. When you pull this stuff out, how much of the stuff that you're releasing is stuff that you wrote back in the 80s, 90s, back that many years ago?
There are some, actually. A lot of the stuff, the first thing I did was release an album because I thought that's what you did. Apparently, you release singles now. But a lot of those songs, I had no idea what I was doing, by the way. I just was going to wing it. I wanted to see how the sausage was made. So I got in there with the meat and just got everything together.
Made a mess.
I made a big mess. That first album is a mess. But it's fun. A lot of those songs were stuff I wrote in the 90s, originally recording on my 4-track. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them on there that are from the 90s when I was a angry guy in my 20s.
Sure. Yep.
2 folk for punk and 2 punk for folk, I guess.
There you go. I like that.
And then I keep everything around to use for spare parts. If there's a certain line in a song that I wrote when I was in high school.
Well, if it never went anywhere, it's still available. That's the way I look at it. So, and you know what?
I have a song coming out in, I think I'm going to release it probably August 15th. The melody is based on a song I totally forgot about that I wrote in high school, and it was a dumb inside joke between me and a buddy of mine, and I wrote this song, and I took the melody and I made it to something completely different. That's, you're keeping the spare parts around.
Yeah.
Using them later.
Yep. Well, we have a song that we're working on right now. It's going to be released called Runaway. And I originally wrote it as a solo in my solo 4-track album. And then the band that I was in back then, Hooray Who, picked the song up and put it on their album. And now on this band, Z Frequency is picking it up again, but it's going to be more it's more tailored towards the original version. Like, so the Hooray Who version, like they kind of changed a bunch of stuff. But this
how
one's
many other
kind
songs can you name called Runaway? I got 3 that came to my mind.
Yeah. Everyone says Bon Jovi, but
I was going to say the Bodines or Del Shannon.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Yep.
But this one is not Runaway. It's 2 words.
2 words. Like run away. Like go from here to there.
Like
not
Monty Python.
Not like I'm not like I'm leaving home without telling anybody, that kind of thing. But yeah.
Okay. Well, then you get a pass.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Runaways.
Right.
That's true.
A whole band with that name.
Yeah. But anyway, I like that though. I like that. It's like I said, it's not, and if you wrote it, even if you had published it, write it again if you want, and especially right now, like, I mean, I don't know how big your following is, probably bigger than ours because ours is horrible right now, but it's like,
it's you two guys and that's it.
Like, you rock. Oh yeah.
I declare this meeting of the Mark Miller fan club open.
Yep. Here. But yeah, so, but it's just funny, the dynamics. Like you said, it used to be albums. Albums were the way to go. And like, that's how you pushed stuff out. We didn't have social media. We had paper flyers and a lot of walking on foot. I still kind of collect them and I frame them now. And they're kind of like all scattered about in my studio here, but I still like the idea of flyering. And like, in fact, we've got some shows coming up and I will still print just a handful, not like the stack, we used to do, but I take a handful to the club that we're going to be playing at. And I'm like, do you even want these? They're like, yeah, nobody does this, So, and every now and then you see a flyer as you're walking through the bath. Like, yeah, like you go into the bathroom stall and that's the first thing you're looking at is somebody's flyer. It's like, I don't know. It's part of the scene.
The
It's
best
still
thing about flyers is you have to make them look as low budget as humanly possible.
yeah.
That
Well,
makes it
that's
totally
punk. That's
legit.
that's the punk thing. Yeah,
That
definitely.
is.
Like,
Yeah, well, I collect punk flyers. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So definitely. And I've seen some really creative ones from some artists around here that have done a really good job. And then there's some that are just kind of like cookie cutter, like we kind of mix mash between, we kind of use AI sometimes to do some like creative, like 50s looking art stuff.
Sometimes nothing. If I've got time, I love hand drawing flyers, and that was one of
that's what I was trying to get at.
I would hand draw our flyers for all of the shows, and we have a backlog of all of these crazy because I doodle. I'm not a very good artist at all, but I love to doodle. So I can't ever draw the same thing twice, but I can doodle the hell out of it. So we'll do that. But then depending on what kind of time we have, like this morning, I get a text from Zach. Hey man, do you have any flyers for the show coming up next month? Because the club owner, he was kind of hitting me up for some, and I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there at the airport waiting for my flight, and our good friend ChatGPT, I plugged in the logos and I said, hey, create a flyer for this event. Here's the details. Here's the logo for this band, the logo for this band, and the logo for the bar. Create something in a cool, funky 60s, mid-century modern vibe. Pops it right out, and it's like, it looks really cool. And then I feel really cheap, and I have to take a crying game shower.
Like I have to take a shower.
I take a crying game shower, man.
Yeah. That's how, but and here's the thing, it's like,
I forgot about that movie completely. Thanks for bringing it back to me.
Yeah. You never know what tangent or rabbit hole this show is going to go down, and we don't know. We cross lines and we go down tangents that we have no business going.
So besides the show, which I'm just so grateful that you reached out to us. Are there any other ways that you've been toying around with promoting your music or bringing it out there? Or is it just like, I'm going to bring it out there, I'm going to hit these guys up, and that's probably all I'm going to do? Because
I will say TikTok thing once a week.
Okay. So you're on TikTok.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you play on the socials? Do you do social promotion?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing serious. It's just me saying, hey, the song's coming out, blah, blah, blah. I usually show off whatever hat I'm wearing. I call it my Gen X toupee of the day.
There you go.
Gen X toupee.
I love it. Gen X toupee of the day.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget to wear a hat, and there's light reflecting off my head.
Oh yeah, like I can flag down planes now on my hair. Like I had hair, and it's just disappeared now, and I forget that because
head of hair and I miss it.
Yeah. Well, I have just a little bit, so like when I'm looking up in the mirror, it's like it looks like there's hair, but then if I tilt down just a hair, it's like, oh, there's nothing there, So
I started shaving my head, and I'm done with it. It's like I just let it grow, I look like a crazy old man.
I'm a hat guy now. Like I'm just like whatever.
I look good, so that's fortunate.
Yeah, I look all right. I used to not do the flat bill thing, but I actually kind of dig them now. But
I want to get to the point where I can get away with wearing a fedora.
Oh, I have those too.
Fedoras are tough because you look like you're trying too hard.
Sometimes.
That's why, if I may.
Yes.
Interject, Matt, please.
You don't have to go all the way to a fedora. A nice pork pie. A nice pork pie hat.
I can't do a pork pie. I tried it. Can't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
See that? I love.
So he does a pork pie.
I love my
That's
pork
his
pie.
Thing. And he has like this old 70s mustard yellow jacket that he wears on stage.
Yeah, we were throwing a disco party, mid-90s. We had this house that a bunch of us rented, and we would throw the wildest themed parties. And they're usually involved big, garbage cans full of jungle juice and Jello shots and debauchery. But we had a disco party, and so I went to the thrift store and I found a pair of powder blue polyester pants. And I like this gold maize and brown shirt, and so I cut the shirt up, and I cut big triangles in the legs, and I made these huge bell bottoms out of the pants. And I found this gold corduroy, like mustard yellow smoking jacket with black satin lapels and cuffs, and that thing just and I found an old tuxedo shirt with the colored ruffles. And so it had this huge butterfly collar on it. So I decked that out, and I still have the jacket. And so I decided, with the first live show that Z Frequency played this year in May, I decided, you know what, the smoking jacket's coming out. And I think that's my thing now.
You can still find that in the wild in the 90s too. That was great. Now it's all got commandeered by the costume people.
Right. Oh,
or it's in like the really high end vintage.
Yeah.
Like on eBay.
The vintage shops that are like
bougie.
It retailed for $80. It's $300 now.
Yeah.
Speaking of hats.
Yes.
In their inquiry form, you mentioned that one of the challenges in this whole new journey, that, if you will, is that you've had to wear every hat. And which role do you feel like marked the hardest for you? Like, was it the producer, the songwriter, the managing the time, or learning new skills to make it all kind of glue together? What would you say was the biggest challenge for you?
I think producing, the mixing, because I want it to sound good, but I also don't want it to sound plastic. So I start to nitpick, and my earlier stuff, it wasn't mixed well. I'm getting better, but also I hear stuff and I'm thinking that this sounds too sterile. I want a little roughness in my mix. I want my mix to sound like it was recorded in the basement.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
So you like the human element, so you don't you don't overproduce it. Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Like
and I can hear that.
No. Yeah, like Alan Lomax producing the field recordings of blues.
Right.
That is authentic. Some middle-aged white guy in Phoenix playing the blues isn't that authentic.
Right.
But, you go to the source. That is authentic.
Right. Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because I love reggae music. That's kind of like my jam. And we had an amazing artist and friend, Nick Safakis, on the show like earlier in the year. And he turned me on to a reggae artist I hadn't even heard of. They were back in the 90s, called Midnight. And this album was just recorded with 2 microphones. I think it was like a condenser mic and then a vocal mic, or like maybe it was one for the guitar. Anyway, it was like 2 room mics basically. So everything was recorded in one room at the same time, and it's phenomenal. It is such a phenomenal album. Yeah. And you don't hear that much anymore. And like in my head, like as soon as I heard that, I'm like, man, that would be so cool if we could actually pull that shit off, but who knows? But yeah. So let me ask you real quick. Do you have a like, now that you've done some mixing of your own stuff and you've mixed a few songs in the album and stuff, do you have a certain process that you run through? Like, how do you first do your mix? Like, let's say you got all your tracks recorded. They're all in Logic. They're all stemmed out. And what's your first few steps?
Well, I just listen to it and I listen to it and I listen to it over and over through speakers in my car, through the Alexa. You just got to listen to it all over and see, okay, well, this can go down a little bit. This could come up a little bit. That's really my process is just poking at stuff.
Okay.
That's all it is.
I meant like if you had like a step system, like I was ready for you to dive into like, all right, first, like, cause I do like, and I wanted to pick your brain about it, but no, you're right. After you get done with what you feel like is a good mix, you have to do the car test. You have to do the Alexa test, or the phone, speaker,
definitely
the
phone
headphone test. Yeah. Because if it sounds good on those, then usually it sounds pretty good. In fact,
there is no process for me. It is just seeing what sounds good, seeing what feels good.
Sure. And that's the bottom line. Like, what kind of emotion? The first thing you should ask when you listen to it is like, what do you want to portray? Like, what do you want people to get out of this? Like, emotion wise, what are some of the highlights, that you want to push out? And then you kind of just make notes of that. But I do what
you also think. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm talking over you.
I also kind of like, what do I want this to sound? Do I want this to sound like a power pop song? Do I want this to sound like a country song? Do I want it to sound like a folk song? Do I want it to sound, something a little more hard hitting?
Right.
And so I kind of mix to that, not specifically towards any artist, but just kind of that feel.
The genre. Yeah. The feel. Yeah. No, I totally get it. Yeah. Okay. There's the great thing is there's really no right or wrong. There's either it sounds good or it doesn't. It doesn't matter how, You know,
Though
like
there
people
will be
ask me, like,
100
what do
of
you
people
do?
telling you that, oh, that makes us off. Yeah.
Right. Well, like there's going to be haters everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I got a funny story to share with you, Mark. So we recently got one of our songs played on our local radio station, alternative radio, called KXR KX96. And they do this local show called 801 at the 801, meaning 801 is our area code. And then at 8:01 p.m. every weekday, they play a song from a local artist that submits or whatever. So I submitted something anyway. And so I made a reaction video of me sitting in my truck with my daughter. And right before the song came on, I had like this big, I always have gum handy, you know. And so she's like, hey, do you want a piece of gum? I'm like, sure. So I'm chewing this gum and I push record so I can get it. And I didn't realize I'm just smacking this gum, you know. And it's not loud. You can't hear it, but
no, but it's like he's going
like,
to town on that on that juicy fruit, man. He's like, yeah.
So what's funny is that nobody on Instagram said anything. Nobody on Facebook said anything. Everyone on TikTok was super triggered, man. You know, and they're like, I hate his music just from watching him chew his gum, you know, like, and it just made me laugh. I'm like, wow, you guys need to loosen up a little bit. TikTok is a little tight, you know, so, but yeah, it's funny.
I'm a bit of a mouth breather, so that's my problem. I have a lot of breaths when I sing and talk, so I got to edit all that out. Hopefully you have a filter for that.
Well, yeah, we do, but it doesn't matter. Like, to me, like, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, go ahead, make fun of me. I'm going to give a shit. Like, I chew gum maybe twice a year. Like, you guys, like, you don't know me, you know? It's like, you don't know me, you know? But yeah, anyway, I had to bring that up. Sorry.
Man.
So, let's see if
I've got one that I wanted to we had talked about a little, you had listed connections as one of your biggest challenges.
Yeah.
What kind of relationships have been the hardest to build for you as an artist?
Really, any. I'm kind of doing this alone, and I'm still kind of feel like I'm singing into the void, and I haven't really gone out of my way to pursue connections either. But there are still gatekeepers. It's not like it was back in the record industry days, but I haven't really tried hard enough to look, because I don't know who to look for. And also, I don't want to bother anybody.
So do you think you are bothering somebody though? Like,
sometimes,
by saying,
because there are better artists than me. I'm the first one to admit that. And, some old guy in St. Louis may not be their top priority, and, they're busy. I hate for them to bother me,
Well, so my son told me this a long time ago, and I thought it was hilarious, and it's so true, was, Ryan, this is, roses are red, violets are blue. There's always an Asian kid better than you. and I only say that because there are musicians better than us. There are,
there always will be.
But there's also people that don't play at all. And just love, like, they just look at you like, man, I wish I had that talent, and they can appreciate. So I would try to maybe think, Mark, of not so much like, I don't want to bother people, as just like, make it available. Like, the biggest thing that I'm learning with my band too, and like today on the way home from work, I'm sitting there thinking, I was talking with my mom, and I'm like, man, I can't seem to break through the noise. Like, I honestly don't think my music sucks. I really don't. But nobody knows I exist. That's the problem. The problem is
what I'm
knows,
going through. Yeah.
Right. And so I think this podcast is just another avenue, another alternative promotion means to help break some of that, noise, if you will. There's other ways that there's a typical standard, like meta ads and Instagram ads, or playlist pitching and promotion, and and like, there's other things that you can't do, like touring, live gigs, or some of those things are just not available to some people. But people are successful in many different ways, and I think it's just a matter of trying to find what works for you, but I wouldn't not, unless that's what you want to do, is write music and just say like, nope, I'm just doing it for fun. But
I am just doing it for fun. I mean, that is really my goal.
Gotcha.
And I don't really want to be a performer. I'm not interested in touring and hauling my own stuff.
Sure.
And, doing the rollout on a cold Tuesday night in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
I would rather just be a songwriter. I would
Gotcha.
rather just write songs for somebody else and let them go through it. If they can get co-writer on it and they could change words. If I get a check, I'm cool with it.
That's what I'm saying is like, how do you get a check? You know, unless they're hiring you to write their songs for them.
Yeah.
But and what I'm saying is you don't have to tour. There are bands out there that are active that do nothing but write music and stream it. You know, but they do tackle it in a more professional, like a business level to get that kind of success, even if it's chump change. Like I don't know, people fight so hard for like you know, like this whole AI war versus like real versus you know, and I'm like, you guys are fighting over this stuff, and like, well, Spotify shouldn't pay AI artists. I'm like, they don't pay real artists either, you know. It's like,
yeah, no kidding.
You guys are you guys, you know, it's like, so yeah. Anyway,
I have a Starbucks with the most money I made.
Right. I have $1.37 in my DistroKid account right now that says otherwise, Mr. Davis. So
yeah, there
how
you
you
go.
like me now?
Yeah.
But you know, Mark, I think one of the
$1.30.
things that there's always going to be an artist that's better, that's more polished, that's more marketable, that's more everything. But also for every one of those, and this is kind of one of the demographics that we really hope to reach with this show, are people that are in an earlier stage of where you are, that have that passion burning inside them, and have written music, or have been in bands before and aren't doing it right now, or are just starting out with doing it, and seeing, you know, and seeing, you know, other people that have had the same struggles. And that's why we kind of talk about, you know, challenges and pain points, because as independent artists, you know, we all go through so many of the same things, and we all have so many of the same fears, so much of the same, you know, imposter syndrome, and all of the same anxieties, that seeing that portrayed in you know, by various different artists from different parts of the country that are at different points of their, you know, of their process, of their career, um, and seeing that, but knowing that no matter where on the rung, you know, what rung we're on, you know, at our core, we're all human beings that are trying to create and trying to share a very vulnerable thing with the world. Because you know, in just intrinsically, if you are an artist and you are creating something, or you are writing music, you are bearing part of your soul for everybody, and that can be incredibly intimidating and scary. But it's also, you know, I think it helps to see that, you know, we all have the same struggles, we all have the same challenges. And I think that getting that out there in front of more eyeballs, you know, who knows, somebody that's watching this show right now might be sitting there going, you know what, I used to write music and I really enjoyed it. If that guy can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. That's exactly, like, it's bringing you peace. Like, you found a new love from an old love, you know what I mean? And our last guest, Todd Anthony, was the same way, you know, and he just decided, I'm gonna start writing music, and I love that, you know. Like, you're never too late, man.
Yeah,
to start.
yeah, for sure.
And so you're reaching a part of our audience that's actually probably closer, you know, to there are people out, and it doesn't have to be music, you know, like we're musicians, so we're going to talk about music. It's a music podcast, but really it doesn't matter if it's an old passion and you're like, man, I wish, you know, I mean, if you could physically do it, I guess, you know, some things you just can't physically do, but if you have an old hobby, get back into it.
So like you, I'm talking to you. Like, go pick up that cross stitch. Go do it.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Know,
get that needle point out, girl. Come on.
For a while, I was working on old mopeds, old 70s mopeds.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
No, Pooks, Saxes, mopeds with the pedals, not the. I have one on those too.
I'm thinking scooters. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I never turned a wrench before I turned 40. And then I kind of dug those because I remember seeing them as a kid, but I was too young. I missed the first big moped craze.
I've seen maybe a handful in my youth, and I'm just like, what is this madness? I want one. Yeah.
So
exactly.
I learned how to work on them after I turned 40. So yeah, you are never too old. And that's why I started releasing this stuff, because why not? It's fun. I love to create. I love to tinker with things. I love to make something out of nothing. Right now, I'm designing a synth just out of a Raspberry Pi. I just finished a foot controller I call it my foot organ.
That's cool.
Because that's a funny sound.
Yeah.
And it's basically a MIDI controller for main stage. So
Okay.
while our 3-man dad band is playing, during a guitar solo, I'll play like a Hammond organ sound or something.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
my feet. And I just, I built it from parts and, in a one board computer. I like
Man,
to
that's
do
such
those
a great
kind of
angle.
things.
Do you document that stuff at all? Like put it on TikTok or YouTube or?
Sometimes I did it when I was building cigar box guitars back in.
Oh, you build cigar box guitars too, dude.
I used to a long time ago. I do a lot of things. You would be amazed on the things I do.
If you just look over Zach's shoulder, you got like 3 hanging right there.
No.
Yeah.
I think we might be related.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, dude. We must be cousins or something. Because I've got 3. I've got a 4-string, a 3-string, and then a 3-string fretless.
When Shane Spiel first started posting,
oh my God, dude.
and this would have been probably about 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I started building them, and nobody else was building them.
Mine was about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Shane Spiel was a huge influence, and you know who else I just instantly fell in love with, and I've been a fan ever since, is C6 Steve.
Yeah, you had him on the show, is from what I understand, right?
No, I didn't have him on the show. We did a spotlight. So like whenever we don't have a lot of guests, we just kind of pick an artist we want to talk about, and we do like a little 5-minute like mini documentary on them. And I picked C6 Steve. Of course I did.
If you ever get short for guests, you can always bring me back because I can talk about anything.
Oh yeah. But you know what? It cracks me up because I didn't have to mention any of that stuff, man. And you mentioned Mixcraft, you mentioned cigar box guitars, you mentioned it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Dig it.
I love it, Mark.
I get a lot of interests. I jump from interest to interest. My dad used to do that. My dad, I'm going to do stained glass. I'm going to do wood carving. I'm going to do, and he was good at it. And then he would stop and go on to something else.
Yeah,
that's kind of what
I'm
I do.
done with it. I'm ready to go on. Yeah. And I've actually gone the rounds with music that way. I still do. Actually.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and then, definitely.
And even the podcast, there's been times where I'm like, what am I doing, man? And then I'm like, I'm thinking about just like, I don't know, I'm going to hang this up. And I've been through that a couple of times. And there's always somebody, whether it be Matt or another friend who's been on the show or heard about that. They're like, no, you can't do that. You have no idea what an impact you're having on people, and especially these artists, they don't have a voice. They don't have a way to type. Like you're doing a good thing, man, and like, all right, you put it that way,
But you really are
my own way, but
giving the opportunity for people. And every one of your podcasts I saw, some of them were younger, some of them were older, but they were kind of just starting out. And the passion that they had seemed a lot stronger than any interview I have seen from professionals, because it seems like they're just going through the motion. But these kids that you have on, these younger people you have on, they are really opening up and telling you real facts, not just what their press agent told them to say.
Right.
They are telling you real things. Yes. Authenticity. Yes.
Well, and I think, and you know what I think one of the things that helps is that we don't know what the hell we're doing we're making this shit up as we go. And
we know more what we're doing now.
We know more and more. We've learned on the fly. We've learned by doing.
And that is one of the best ways to do it, is learn by doing. Make those mistakes. Put those mistakes out there. Some of my favorite songs are a mistake.
Oh, I love that. Some of the best songs in the world were a mistake, and
for sure.
They're like, oh, this song almost didn't even make the album, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I think
Beatles
that
have a lot of mistakes on some of their songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I love the Beatles. That's my favorite band.
Well, I think, and just like, our guests, our guests don't have a publicist telling them what they have to say. We don't have anybody on our end saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. We put together a show. Zach, puts together, goes through, some pretty painstaking work to put together a good show outline, come up with, we come up with good, a good flow for things. And then inevitably I spout off with something, Zach spouts off with something, and we go down these tangents that were never intended.
Yeah.
And I think, but that speaks to the authenticity of what we're doing, is that, it's not just about, the cookie cutter questions about music, about who inspire you, about how this and that. We like to get into the process and everything.
We do ask that.
We do a lot of that. But I think a lot of what makes this show so much fun is that, we treat it more like just a conversation between friends, bullshitting, and
this could just as easily take place in a bar.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's and the thing is like, being a music podcast, it's like we don't play. I mean, there might be some backing music, but we don't play your music. Like, if people are smart. They can go find you. You know what I mean? Like they really want to hear you. They'll come find you. Like I want to know behind it. You know, I don't want to know. Like obviously we're promoting a song. We're promoting your new track, and well, you got another one coming out. You said tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's
on the
the name
15th?
On the 15th. What's the name of that one?
It's called Nobody.
Nobody. Perfect. Nobody. That was our conversation. Okay. So
it's exactly what you think it's about.
So there you go, guys. Go stream Mark Miller. You want somebody real. You want somebody authentic. That's what you do.
If you want somebody real, look for Nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's you're gonna find us all standing there.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
That was very good, man.
Where can people find you? Like, do you have a Instagram handle, or do you have a website, or a link in bio?
You know, honestly, I can't remember right now. No, I mean, just look. There's 1,000 Mark Millers. I get it. There's 1,000 Mark Millers on Spotify.
Okay, I'll put a link to you.
Yeah. So
Mark Miller.
Oh my gosh! Look. Wow, the magic of post-production.
It's not going to be on the screen.
Okay, actually, I wrote a song because there's so many Mark Millers.
Yeah.
And there's a Mark Miller who does religious music. And
hey, you could get some accidental streams off of that.
Is this the little dig you threw in on contemporary Christian on Heaven's Jukebox?
Yes. That's it.
That's great. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I figured I'd troll his listeners.
You're pretty personal, and we like to call it a soundtrack to my life. So it's kind of, we phrase it like, imagine they're making a motion picture based on you, the Mark Miller, the motion picture experience. And you've got to start putting together the soundtrack for it. Now, I think that I'd like to tie this in by, you get your 3 tokens from St. Matthew, and you get to walk up to Heaven's Jukebox. And it doesn't have to be the top 3 or the only 3, but what are 3 songs that are on the soundtrack of Mark?
The song Hope by Descendants. Are you familiar with Descendants?
Yes. Great.
Okay. That was the soundtrack for me personally in high school.
Yeah, that was your
everything
youth.
The Descendants.
Yep.
Loved them.
Right.
Now it's like, these guys are a little too old to be doing fart jokes, but it's still, it brings back
You're never too old for fart jokes. Come on, they're still funny. We just don't like to admit it.
But they also did some very good, introspective stuff.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar, look them up. They're cool.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the stuff may not quite fly anymore, but it's get a best of or something. You'll figure it out. And then a lot of Dylan, Positively 4th Street. When I was a kid, my friend's dad was a big Dylan fan, right? And he had all the bootlegs, he had all this stuff. And my friend introduced me to Dylan. Positively 4th Street is one of the greatest songs. Just the line, you'd rather see me paralyzed, or you know what a drag it is to see you. I mean, it's like nobody was singing that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then here's this guy who I've heard of, but I didn't know what he was all about, singing this stuff. And it's like, man, that is a middle finger to the world, and I want to give it to.
Yeah. I can get behind this.
Dig it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I don't know, let's just to be different, Dave Brubeck's Take 5. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Star Wars guy, and when May the 4th comes around, it's like, man, it was Dave Brubeck Day.
Dave Brubeck Day, yeah.
Nice.
It was Dave
I've seen
Brubeck.
that post, yeah.
Noticeably absent from the 3 songs was any contemporary Christian.
That's true. Oh, speaking of Star Wars, I knew you were a Star Wars fan. I was going to bring this story up earlier, and
awesome.
You can maybe edit this up when I was talking about TV. We had the switcher that blew up Alderaan at Channel 7 in Quincy, Illinois.
No kidding.
You realize, when they blow up Alderaan, they pull that lever. That's a television switcher.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, wait a minute, I worked on that.
That is a Grass Valley 335 or something like that. And I'm not sure the exact number, and I'm sure some people are going to be actually it was a Grass Valley 330. But anyway.
Even the lightsabers were cans for flash.
Oh, yeah.
For camera flashes. But yeah.
So I worked on the board. We used to call it the board that blew up Alderaan.
Nice.
Love it,
man.
Awesome.
Is there any shout outs that you want to give? Special hellos, your wife, your dog, your boss. I'll be in later, kind of.
Hello, wife and kids. My wife is actually in the next room. So it's
okay.
Hi, honey.
She's
so there we got
she's
that.
like, are you done yet?
I'm in her office right now, so she probably
really?
has work to do. Yeah,
it's really pretty. I was gonna say, man, it looks really nice in there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is her fortress of solitude, and I have a
she
messy
let you
basement
invade it.
She's not happy.
Kudos to her. Kudos. That's a good woman there.
My two boys who might actually watch this. Hi.
What's up, man? Thanks for watching.
They'll be like, Dad, you're so weird. Those
yeah,
two
they know it.
Those guys are weird too. Like, you guys should.
There's more of you.
Yeah.
Hell.
Oh yeah.
We're so everywhere, man. Weird old Gen X guys, man. We're
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got one more segment, and then we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Great.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's the time for Rapid Fire 7. It's 7 rapid fire questions. Mark Miller is our guest, and first answer that pops into your head, just spit it on out. Don't think about it, just say it. Zach, take it away.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready, Mark?
First thing in my head, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's one songwriting habit you've never been able to break?
Writing with my feet. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm thinking of jokes while we're doing this.
Oh,
no,
okay,
feet music.
One songwriting habit I can't break. Using the word me in songs.
Okay.
Because it's a cheap rhyme, and yes,
it rhymes with lots of things, and and you know what's funny is that now next time I listen to your stuff,
I'm gonna be looking for
it's gonna be like I'm gonna be listening for it now. Like me.
3.
No, this song you said it 5 times.
Maybe once, but at least once in the song. Yeah. All right, cool.
All right, next up. If someone visited St. Louis for one day, where are you taking them first?
The Del Mar Loop. It was a hip neighborhood then. It is still now. My favorite record store when I was a kid was Vintage Vinyl. I have another one. I want to give them a shout out. Record Exchange on Eichelberger Avenue is a great record store too. Hygiene. But Vintage Vinyl was the only place you could really find the imported punk records or the local punk records. I was on the track team in high school, and it wasn't too far from there. And we'd have to run up one street, couple miles, and then run down Del Mar, and then run back. I would always stop, sweaty and out of breath, into Vintage Vinyl and go thumb through, here's a new Minor Threat record. And I'll carry it with me and jog back.
Hell yeah.
I didn't last long on the track.
Yeah, but that's all right. You got some good music. Yeah. We've had one Randy's Records. I think is it still?
Yeah, it's still there.
He's still been there forever.
And Randy's, and then in the Sugar House neighborhood of Salt Lake, Ranch Records.
Ranch Records is the one that you would go to get all the import stuff, especially like your European stuff. That's where all the music that I liked at the time was station. That's where you could find that stuff. But
it was fun to discover things. You might get a clunker every once in a while, but when you find something that nobody else has heard of, and you put it on the turntable for the first time, it's like, wow, this is amazing. I remember the first time I heard the Flaming Groovies, Shake Some Action. I mean, this was years later after the song came out. I put it on, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And considering they were doing that in 68.
Right.
And it sounds like it'd be from 88.
Right.
It was really cool.
Time. Yeah.
It was that first feeling of discovering something is an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Well, that's almost how I felt every time I bought a CD. It was like you bought a CD or an album because there was that one song on the radio you really liked, and it was a gamble, because you'd spend $15 or $20 or whatever it was, and then sometimes you get a really good album. Every song on it's great, you love it, and then there's times where you pretty much wasted your money because the one thing you bought it's already on the radio like 5 times a day. Anyway, which song took the longest to finally finish?
The one that came out on the first is called Hear Me. I could not get the vocals right on that. It took me a couple weeks to just get it to sound how I wanted it to sound.
In the mix?
No, it wasn't mixing wise. It was composing.
Oh, okay.
Composing.
Okay. I see. Yeah. Okay.
I've got a relatively low singing voice and a low speaking voice, and my range is relatively limited.
Right.
So I wanted it to sound right. It didn't want to sound too low. I didn't want to screech it like the girl who says no. I'm kind of pushing my abilities.
Yeah.
I'm pushing my vocal abilities, but it works for that song. And the next song, Nobody, also, I'm doing that screechy kind of voice. But that one was tough. That one was tough.
I hear you. I've had to retake a few tracks before, and then because I always try to lay down like a scratch track, when we're working on something, knowing that I'm probably going to re-record it. Every now and then, though, it's like winning the lottery. I nail it, and I'm like, you don't need to track or scratch any scratch.
Ain't nothing scratch about that, dude. That's vocals, exactly. Dude.
And then there's times where you're like, dude, I love you, bro, but yeah, we're gonna have
you need to redo those vocals,
like,
dude.
Sometimes I abandon ideas completely. I mean, there's sometimes you could put hours, days into a song, and it's just not working. So I have a folder called No Pile. And that goes in 13. The no pile.
Yep, I have a 13. I call it folder 13. So
yeah, and then I could go back to it and get some ideas from it, get some inspiration from it, take this line from it.
Yep,
but that's what it's for. Yeah.
It's your spare parts bin.
That's my spare parts bin. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool, Matt.
Dig it.
You're up.
What's one piece of recording gear you could not live without?
Recording gear specifically. For me, it's all interchangeable. With recording gear, I'm not a gearhead. I just get whatever I can scrap, whatever I can get used, whatever I can get cheap. I am not a microphone guy. There's a lot of guys who are way too into microphones.
What kind of microphone do you have?
What am I? I honestly, I don't even know what I use. It's silver. I know that.
It's the silver one.
It's probably a Shure 58.
No, it's not an SM58 or a 57. I do have some generic ones, some generic SM58s.
Yeah. So is it like a condenser mic or
it's a condenser? I sing into a condenser usually.
Gotcha.
I know I've used a Blue Snowball before too. I say I am not an equipment geek.
I'm not either. Like I know I have some friends that are engineers that have $4,000 microphones.
Well, yeah, I work with a guy who has all that stuff.
I don't have that. Like if I did, that would be cool, I guess. But at that point, if I have a $4,000 microphone, I probably have other gear in my studio, that would justify getting a $4,000 microphone. So
exactly,
to me, I'm like, yeah, if I get to that point, there's a whole bunch of my world's changed, already. Yeah. But
I got to pay college tuition. I am not ready to buy the $4,000 microphone.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm like, I feel all proud of myself. Like, dude, I finally pulled the plunge and bought a $300 microphone. You're like, whoa, But yeah,
and we end up using
secondhand.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we end up using the $100 secondhand picked up from his friend at work 1960s microphone.
And who gets the win? Pencil Dick.
Pencil Dick wins.
Yeah. All right. If your younger songwriting self met today's Mark, what would surprise him most?
That he went bald. Also that he's still doing it, and he's still going back to the ideas that 20-year-old Mark or 16-year-old Mark or 12-year-old Mark had. I'm still going to that well. And I think he would be proud of that some ideas that I had in 1982 is still
valid,
being used in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been writing songs, really, I would say, since I was like 8.
Okay.
We would go down in the basement of my friend's house and pretend we were Kiss.
Yeah. We got to pretend like you're somebody,
It's 1978. Kiss was all the rage. Any boy, whether you like their music or not, any boy was into Kiss, right?
Right.
And so we'd play hockey sticks and bang on boxes and pretend they're drums. And we thought, we're a band. We need to write songs. Well, my friends wrote songs about barf, which was the 6-7 of the day. That was the funniest word in the world.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
And
still funny.
It is a little bit. Our smelly socks and stuff. They would write stuff about that.
8-year-old stuff. Yeah, exactly.
I was writing stuff about urban decay of New York in the 70s.
There you go.
At the age of 8. And I thought, you know what? I bet you I'm pretty good at this.
You're so punk, Mark.
There has to be an olfactory angle here if we're talking about urban decay, because we can.
Yeah. That's so punk. That's funny.
All right, next up, what's one artist you'd love to spend an afternoon writing songs with?
That's tough to say. Dead or alive. That is tough to say because I am scared to death of meeting my heroes. Because I'm afraid I'm just going to be disappointed.
Oh, no, I'm not afraid. I'm going to be afraid I'm disappointed in myself.
No, not me. I don't want to be jerks. These people who I've admired all my life, and it turns out they're a jerk, or they smell like cheese or something, man. That is not. That's not how I want to meet Bob Dylan, right?
You sit on a throne of lies.
You don't smell like Santa. You smell like beef and cheese. That's great.
No, I don't know. I'd love to pick Elvis Costello's brain, Nick Lowe, Dave Edmonds. Though I don't think he was much of a songwriter, but those guys, the pub rep guys, Graham Parker, those guys. I would love to kind of hang out with them, just maybe talk some old times with them, not necessarily write with them.
Oh no, this isn't. This is about like go to the bar and have a beer with. You know, like what kind of
those guys would be great to just kind of
it does
hear their stories.
Songs. It does say writing songs. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah.
But you can write songs drinking beer in a bar.
That's right.
Now, look at it this way. If I could meet the people as I think they are, not as they really are, right? Since this is fantasy and it could be a dead guy.
Right.
Right. We're making this shit up as we go.
Dylan. I would have loved to meet Dylan how I think Dylan is.
There you go.
You know, or Scott Miller from Game Theory. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They are fantastic. They were a fantastic group out of Davis, California in the 80s. There was also a group later called the Loud Family. Do yourself a favor and listen to them. They are amazing.
All right,
They were my band of college, whereas the Descendants were my high school band. Game Theory was my college band. It's that Paisley Underground kind of sound. It was amazing. Scott Miller, he passed away a few years ago. I would love to work with him, or just kind of how I vision him, because I thought he was a genius. Alex Chilton is another one. If I was able to meet them as I think they were.
Gotcha. Okay.
Righteous.
All right. Last question. What's something you're still hoping to accomplish that has nothing to do with streaming numbers?
See, my answer was going to be something snarky about that. Okay. What I would like somebody else to cover one of my songs. It could be anybody.
That is
cool.
I would love to be
that answer,
their
man.
songwriter.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody took just one of my songs that I did and they recorded themselves, I mean, obviously giving me writing credit.
Right.
Not stealing from me. I don't want people to steal from me.
Yeah,
to hear somebody else
do a cover of your music.
Yeah. That's what I would like. That is really, that would be my goal anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of an honor. Yeah. I totally can see that. So,
just like Runaway.
Yeah. Like Run Away. Exactly.
Run Away, yeah.
Except for I'm covering myself, you know? So it's like, yeah.
It's so wild because, like, I think that it's a combination of there's more and more independent artists like yourself who are looking for, ways to, creative ways to promote their music, and podcast. Which it's not like the podcast. The podcast.
Were you writing songs with me when I was 8?
Yeah.
Well,
because I think there was a song about potties too.
Yeah, was that funk song called Potty Time?
But it's not like this is not a new medium, but I think that we must have done something right with the algorithm gods, because more and more artists who are looking for shows to go on are finding us and are gravitating toward being on the show. And I think it's because there aren't very many options. There's plenty of options if you're huge and you're established and you're big. Yeah. And you're going in front of the on these shows that have millions of streams and have hundreds and thousands of subscribers and stuff. But we are the little guy promoting the little guy.
Yeah, you are truly doing a service. You're truly doing a service for people like me and people like all your other guests.
But I was going to say even more importantly is that they may find us, but they watch people like you this episode and previous episodes, and they're like, hey, that's me. And so because of you, so we thank you for joining us, and we're just kind of perpetually getting this ball rolling. And man, you'll have to come visit us again, dude. Like, we'll have to
be more than happy to.
Yeah, it's great having you on. We can put a pin in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. Could put a pin in there. Matt had the idea we should get a map. Maybe I could get a map here and just kind of post, because we're starting to go all over the place. But yeah,
great.
We've got to get guests that live out in the four corners of the map first, so that we can hold it, so it'll stay up on the wall.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you, Stephen Wright.
So if you like this episode, be sure to check out Mark Miller. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll probably find his handle and put it here in the screen. You'll see it.
Now it's there. Look
Now
at
it's
that
there, yeah.
magic.
So, Mark,
Yes.
I'm not going to keep you any longer, man.
That's all right. I have nothing else going on.
Okay.
Right on.
All right,
Okay.
man. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, thanks so much for hanging out with us and sharing your story. It's a great reminder that it's never too late to put your art out into the world.
Be sure to check out Mark's latest release, The Girl Who Said No, on your favorite streaming platform, and give him a follow to keep up with everything he's working on.
If you've enjoyed this conversation and you're into independent music and artist interviews, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We drop new conversations every week with incredible independent artists.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting independent music. And as always, catch you on the flip side.